he not only will the suitable person reclaim, I believe that the suitable person will claim the crown because they see something in that person that would be believable to take the reins. But again, Gargano, Cole, Dream, Riddle, even Cassius Ohno could come from out of nowhere and it would be believable. For me, at least, it would be believable. There's so many ways you can go with it. And though, like I had said to Reed kind of in chat before, while I don't like to read spoilers, it's going to be out there probably because WWE likes to leak themselves now lately. What'll wind up happening at NXT New York for the vacant, soon to be vacant, officially vacant NXT Championship. So we'll see where it goes from here. But in the meantime, while that is taking place, or while those, pieces kind of fall into place, I do want to wish Tommaso Ciampa a very speedy recovery with a serious injury. And now you have to question his future in wrestling in general. Is he going to return to the ring, period? Because you think of talents with neck injuries like Edge, like Rhino, like, Steve Austin. Those men had returned, and even Chyna, you look at Chyna, I believe she had a bad neck injury too. They all returned. Lita had a bad neck injury, and, for all those talents who have come back from a serious neck injury like that, there's a very short shelf life with them, competing. So now, how much longer do we get to enjoy Tommaso Ciampa if he indeed does come back? So, it'll be very interesting to see what winds up happening. And again, I won't read spoilers unless WWE spoils themselves. But we'll see. NXT TakeOver New York, you already can kind of guess Velveteen Dream's going to wrestle Matt Riddle, if that's any indication from this past week's episode. And so it'll be very interesting to see what goes on. I'm very much looking forward to it, and we'll see how long before WWE spoils themselves. Fastlane. Let's get to Fastlane really quick here. That's coming up this Sunday. I'm not going to do predictions until the weekend. So let's take a look at the full match card really quick. I really should have had this better prepared, but alas, I did not. Okay, Fastlane matches. It's actually not a bad card. Now, here's the biggest crime. Already at the very top, I guess, or bottom, however you want to distinguish. Rey Mysterio versus Andrade Cien Almas. I hate that they just cut his name up to Andrade. Andrade. That sounds so lame. Oh yeah, here's your new United States champion, Andrade. Rusev, at least, it's like, I get it. But you've called him Andrade Cien Almas for so long. Why change it? And he did the same damn thing to Heavy Machinery. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. It's a crime that's on the kickoff, especially with how many times they stole the show on SmackDown on television. This should be at least on the main card. I would rather have, but you have Rey Mysterio versus Andrade Cien Almas to look forward to. Women's Tag Team Championship, the first defense of the Women's Tag Team Championship, giving it a slight storyline. I still have my reservations on the tag titles, the women's tag titles as a whole. It was great to see that they were on NXT saying, hey, maybe next time we come back, we'll be defending these championships. Maybe NXT TakeOver New York, which would be awesome. What winds up happening, who the hell knows? And again, I don't read spoilers, but I could see if Bianca Belair wins her match against Io Shirai, maybe Io Shirai and Kairi Sane challenge for the women's tag team championships. That would be cool to watch. Bayley and Sasha versus the duo from Japan. But this event, they are wrestling Nia Jax and Tamina. Okay, they're giving it a little bit of something. You're giving the women's tag team championships a little bit of attention, which is good. Keep consistent with it. Obviously, they appeared on NXT, and right now they're on Raw. I want to see them now challenge a team from SmackDown next. Or their next challenge is the NXT group at NXT TakeOver New York. But anyway, you have that match coming up. You have the SmackDown Tag Team Championship rematch. Usos versus Miz and Shane McMahon. Okay. My excitement level is not up there with that yet. Now, here's interesting what's going to wind up happening here. The SmackDown Women's Championship, Asuka defending against Mandy Rose. For those who don't know, Asuka and Mandy were wrestling at a house show, I believe, and Asuka got dropped on her head. Not good. Where she had to actually be pretty much carried to the back or assisted to the back. I haven't read anything, if there is anything out there, on there being heat with Mandy after that. I didn't see the injury. If there was film on it, I assume there was film on it because I saw pictures, as I'm sure there are probably screen captures from somebody's video. But you look at this, right? If Asuka's injured to the point that she can't compete at Fastlane, now you're out of match. They should then move Mysterio and Almas to the main card, then substitute something on the kickoff, and then I don't know what they do. And that's another thing where, like, the SmackDown Women's Division really, while it has depth in numbers, it doesn't have, for me, depth and believability of who could be that next champion. But if Asuka versus Mandy goes on, I did state during the Elimination Chamber match, and I stand by it despite this mishap. Mandy Rose has improved. Again, the context of the injury or anything else like that, I don't know. I don't know, and unless I go seek it out myself, I'm not going to know. Whether I want to seek it out or not is, completely different. But if this match goes on, before the injury, I could have seen it being fairly decent. Now that the match is off, well, presumably off, again, depending on what the injury is, I could even see them keeping the match going on as such, and Mandy Rose win by a BS victory. Which would be a horrible way for Asuka to lose it, but yet makes it so that Mandy, or at least Asuka, puts Mandy over, and now she's the new SmackDown Women's Champion. But I wouldn't be mad
90 seconds.
with them doing the championship change over to Mandy Rose when it comes to the SmackDown side of things. Let's take a look at this here for 1 second. All right, we look at now The Shield versus Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Lashley. I'm interested to see how much work Roman does in the ring post-remission. It is interesting. While people are like, maybe this might not be the best opponents for them to go up against, who cares? It all kind of ties into a storyline somehow. McIntyre's getting that bigger match. Let's just be honest. But it's interesting because you have Seth Rollins, who, to my knowledge, is still injured. You have Roman Reigns, who's, again, post-remission. And you have Dean Ambrose, who's, by all accounts, healthy. And I'm assuming he's going to take the workload here. Again, I don't know how Rollins is because he hasn't wrestled a match on TV in a while. And Roman's wrestling for the first time since October. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I don't have high expectations for it, but, again, we'll see what winds up happening. Then you have Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. Most talked about match on the card. Obviously, Becky Lynch wins. She's in. I have high expectations for this match. I'm really peeved that they still have that injury gimmick going on for Becky. I expect this to be match of the night. I would have said that about Mysterio and Almas, but I'm not counting that because it's not on the main card. But I still say that Becky of the main card, Becky and Charlotte, will be the match of the night. And then an unexpected twist, Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship. I'll be interested to see if this match actually main events the show. I will say that I believe that it'll more than likely be Becky versus Charlotte or the Shield match. So, but, hey, there were rumors that they were going to do KO versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. But I'm actually really glad that they're doing KO versus Bryan now. Inserts Owens back on TV, gives him a good, big role that he deserves. And then hopefully, if they do wind up going this route, have Kofi wrestle Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. But if you watch SmackDown this past week, I could definitely see Mustafa Ali somehow getting inserted into this WWE Championship match at WrestleMania, if it is Kofi and Daniel Bryan. So that's a rundown really quick of the Fastlane card. Again, overall, not a bad card. The first two pay-per-views of 2019 have not been bad at all. They've actually been good. I expect that trend to continue. I really do. And even with this past week's TVs, I still expect them to have a good pay-per-view. So, I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually going to end that on that note. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for the shares, everything else like that, the hosting. I really appreciate that. If you want to follow me on my socials, if you're not watching on the live window on Twitch, at Open Mic Wrestling, leave out the G for, whatever. On Twitter, Open_Mic_Wrestling_Night on Instagram. Follow me personally on Twitter at Calypso426. Again, Fill in the Void Podcast Network, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, anywhere you can find podcasts. The show is on Spreaker.com/filling_the_void. You can look there as well. And again, one more reminder that I will be hosting an event this upcoming Sunday at the Hennessy Center, Dominican College in Orangeburg, New York, for the St. Baldrick's Foundation. If you want to make a donation, stbaldricks.org. It is always much appreciated, and I really do appreciate that. And Anthony Cole, thank you for watching, number one. Number two, to answer your question, next week, and good thing you actually reminded me because I'm going to run down the guest list for the next couple weeks. I have a lot of guests lined up from now until April 25th. So next week on the 14th, I'll actually have Zach Haydorn from the Pro Wrestling Torch on to talk pro wrestling, talk shop. So Zach Haydorn of PW Torch will be on. The 28th, I will have Alex Jabali. For those who don't know, he is the founder of the CEO Gaming Tournaments, and he hosted the CEO Cross New Japan Pro Wrestling that event last year. So he'll be joining me on the 28th. I have WrestleMania week shows, and when we get closer, again, if you follow my socials as well, we can talk about that a little bit more. But on April 1st,